Hello, math learners! Today we'll talk about multiplying rational expressions. But before that, let us review first how to multiply fractions. Okay, so we have here 24 over 54 times 12 over 9. Okay, let's take first 24 and find the prime factors of 24. So 24, now factors of 24, okay, it can be 2 times 12. Now 2 is already prime, so put a mark that 2 is already prime. Now for 12, okay, factors of 12, we can have 3 and 4. So, okay, now 3 is already prime, so put a mark for 3. But 4 is composite. So factors of 4, we have 2 times 2. Now 2 is already prime, so we are down with our prime factors of 24. So let's write them. We have 2 times 3 times 2 times 2. Okay? Now let's go to 54. Let's have the prime factors of 54. Okay, so factors of 54, we can have 6 and 9. 6 times 9 is equal to 54. 6 is not a prime number, it's still composite. So you still have to factor this out. So factors of 6, you have 2 and 3. Now 2 is prime and 3 is also prime. So you're done with 6. Now let's go to 9. Factors of 9, we only have 3 and 3. Now 3 is already prime. So we are down with the prime factors of 54. So let's write them down. So you have 2 times 3 times 3 times 3. Next, let's go to the prime factors of 12. So we have 12. Now 12 can be 6 times 2, so let's use that. So you have 6 times 2. Okay, 2 is already prime, so put a mark for 2. And 6, factors of 6, we have 2 times 3. 2 is prime, 3 is prime. So the prime factors of 6 are 2 times 3 times 2. Now, since we know that when we multiply fractions, we just have to multiply numerator by the numerator and denominator by the denominator of the other fraction, right? So, we can just continue writing here the factors of 12. So you have 2 times 3 times 2. And for 9, factors of 9, we have 3 and 3. 3 is prime already. So okay, let's write here, continue writing here the factors of 9. We have 3 times 3. Right? So now that we have already identified the prime factors of our numerators and denominators of the fractions, now we can divide out common factors. So we have one pair of 2 here, so let's divide them out. And then one pair of 3. We have here another pair of 3. Okay, so inspecting your prime factors, there are no common factors anymore. So let's continue. In your numerator, you are left with 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 over, okay, 3 times 3 times 3. Now 2 times 2 is 4 times 2, 8 times 2, 16. So the numerator now is 16. And 3 times 3 is 9 times 3, 27. So now we already have here the product of 24 over 54 and 12 over 9. And that is 16 over 27. Alright? Next. let's have 15 over 8 times 8 over 30. Okay, so let's, okay, prime factors of 15, we have 3 and 5. 3 is already prime, 5 is already prime. So let's write it here now. 3 times 5. And then for 8, let's have the prime factors of 8. So 8 can be 2 times 4. 2 is already prime. 4, 2 times 2. Now 2 is already prime also. So the prime factors of 8 are 2 times 2 times 2. Now here, okay, we still have 8. So let's not repeat the process. Let's just write the prime factors of 8. So you have 2 times 2 times 2. And for 30, now 30 can be 3 times 10. Now 3 is prime, but 10 is composite. So factor out 10, you have 2 times 5. Now 2 is prime and 5 is also prime. So the prime factors of 30 are 3 times 2 times 5. Okay? Now let's divide out common factors. So we have here one pair of 2, another pair of 2, another pair of 2, one pair of 3, and one pair of 5. Right? So there's no common factors left, so let's continue. Now notice that in your numerator, all of the factors are already divided out. Therefore, we'll write it as 1 over, okay, we have here 2, so that's 1/2. Meaning to say the product of 15 over 8 and 8 over 30 is 1/2. So let's box our final answer. So that's 1/2. Now, there are different ways on how to multiply fractions. Okay, you may directly multiply 15 and 8, 8 and 30, and then simplify your fraction, and then we're still able to come up with the same answer. However, the beauty of using prime factors is that after we divide out, we are sure that our final answer is already the answer in its lowest term. Alright? So, for the rest of the examples, if we can, then we should use prime factors. Alright? So, let's proceed to multiplying rational expressions. So, we have here x squared over 10 times 5 over x cubed. Okay? So, still the same process. Find the factors of x squared. So we know that the factors of x squared are x times x. Okay? And here, factors of 10, prime factors of 10. So that's equal to 2 times 5. 2 is already prime. 5 is already prime. So prime factors of 10, we have 2 times 5. And then, okay, factors of 5. Now 5 is a prime number. So just write it right away. And factors of x cubed, we have x times x times x. Okay, now since we are done with all our prime factors, then let's divide out common terms, common factors. So we have here one pair of x, another pair of x, and a pair of 5. So we see here that our numerator, all of the factors in our numerator are divided out already. So that would be equal to 1. Okay, over, okay, for the denominator, we are left with 2 and x. So that would be equal to 2 times x. Multiply the denominator, you have 2x. And that is already our final answer. So the product of x squared over 10 times 5 over x cubed is 1 over 2x. Next, let's have this example. B cubed over 2c cubed times 4c squared over 3ab. Okay, so let's take first b cubed. So factors of b cubed, all right, we know that that is b times b times b. Now factors of 2c cubed. Now 2 is already prime, so we will write 2. Now c cubed is just equal to c times c times c. Now for 4c squared, so 4c squared, 4 is composite, so let's have the prime factors of 4, which are 2 and 2. And for c squared, that's equal to c times c. So the prime factors of 4c squared is 2 times 2 times c times c. And the factors of 3ab, 3 is already prime, so just write it. And ab, that's just equal to a times b. Okay? Next, divide out common factors. So we have here one pair of b, one pair of c, another pair of c, one pair of 2, and nothing else. So we are left with b times b times 2 over c times 3 times a. Now b times 2 is equal to 2b squared, right? And for the denominator, c times 3 times a is equal to 3ac. Now remember, class, that when you write a monomial or a term with 2 or more variables, then make sure that your variables are arranged in alphabetical order. So instead of writing 3ca, the proper way of writing it is 3ac. Okay? So that's it. We are already done. That's the product of b cubed over 2c cubed times 4c squared over. Let's have here example 3. Find the product of 4xy over 3 and 15x squared over 2y. Okay, so since both of our fractions have numerators and denominators that are monomial, so we can just simply answer this through prime factorization. So find the prime factors of 4xy. Okay, prime factors of 4, we know that that is 2 times 2. And then x times y. Okay, so for 3, 3 is already a prime number, so just write 3 right away. Now for 15x squared, 15x squared, factors of 15, we have 3 and 5. Now since 3 is already prime and 5 is already prime, so the prime factors of 15 are 3 and 5. And factors of x squared, we have x times x. So let's write it here. 3 times 5 times x times x. Now for 2y, at first glance, we know that the factors of 2y are 2 and y. Okay, so now that we are done with listing all the prime factors, let's divide out common factors. So we have here one pair of 2, one pair of 3, and one pair of y. So looking at our numerator, we can see that we are left with 2 times x times 5 times x over. Okay, notice that all of our factors in the denominator are all divided out. So that would be equal to 1. So multiply now. 2 times 5, that's 10. X times x times x, that's x cubed. Over 1. So since the denominator is already 1, so we can just write our final answer as 10x cubed. Right? So the product of 4xy over 3 and 15x squared over 2y is 10x cubed. Alright, next. Okay, so we have here number 4. 2 over a plus b times 3 over a plus b. Now, whenever you see this kind of given, for example, in either of the numerator and denominator, if it's composed already of 2 or more terms, then multiply the numerators by the numerator, denominator by the denominator right away. Okay? Knowing also that our denominators are prime binomials. So we have here, okay, numerator by numerator, so you have 2 times 3. So that would be equal to 2 times 3 over, okay, a plus b times a plus b. Okay, so 2 times 3, that's 6. And a plus b, okay, times a plus b, so that would be equal to a plus b squared, right? Now expand your binomial. So you have here 6 over a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Okay, and once you are done, that's already the product of 2 over a plus b and 3 over a plus b. Box your final answer. Alright, so let's proceed. Okay, we have here 5x squared plus y over 3y times 3 over 4x minus y. Now, since our numerator here is a binomial, our denominator in our second fraction is also a binomial, so let's multiply the numerator by the numerator and denominator by the denominator. Okay, so we have here 2x squared plus y, okay, enclose it in a parenthesis, times 3 over, okay, we have here 3y times 4x minus y. Okay, all right. Now look at here. Okay, examine your expression. So you have here 2x squared plus y times 3 all over 3y times the quantity of 4x minus y. Now looking at your factors, okay, you know that 3y here can be factored so that we can divide out 3. So let's do that. So we have 2x squared plus y times 3 all over, okay, factor 3y. So you have 3 times y, right? Times 4x minus y. Okay, now we can already divide out common factor, which is 3. Okay, so continue. That would be equal now to 2x squared plus y over y times 4x minus y. Okay, distribute y in your denominator, so you have 2x squared plus y over 4xy minus y squared. And that's already your final answer. Now let's have our next example. We have 3d over 3f minus 12 times 4f minus 16 all over 12a squared. Okay, now inspecting your rational expressions. Okay, you know that 3f minus 12 has a common monomial factor, and 4f minus 16 also has a common monomial factor. Okay, so factoring them out, let's have 3d, okay, over the factors of 3f minus 12, we have 3 times f minus 4. Okay, multiply it by the other rational expression. We have 4f minus 16. Now we know that the common monomial factor for 4f minus 16 is 4. So we have 4 times f minus 4 over 12a squared. Now factors of 12, we can have it as 3 times 4 times 4 times a, right? Now, let's divide out common factors. So we have f minus 4 and f minus 4. We have here 3 and 3. And we also have 4 and 4. So we are left with, in our numerator, we are left with d over 3a times a. Simplify, you have d over 3a squared. And that's already our final answer. Okay? Alright, now let's move on to the next example. We have x squared minus 4 over 4 times 12x over 3x squared plus 6x. Okay, now we know that when we multiply rational expressions, we should multiply numerator with the numerator and denominator with the denominator and then simplify. However, that way would take us a lot of time to do. So we can just directly factor, okay, our rational expressions, the numerator and the denominator of our rational expressions. Okay, so examining our x squared minus 4 over 4, examining the numerator, we know that x squared minus 4 is a difference of two squares. Okay, and the factors of x squared minus 4 are x plus 2 and x minus 2, right? So over. Now let's proceed to the denominator. So we have here 4. Now, okay, let's just use the prime factors of 4. So we have here 2 times 2. Okay, now let's go to 12x. Now, prime factors of 12x. So we have here 3 times 4 and then x. 4, we have 2 times 2. 3 is prime, 2 is prime, and x. So the prime factors of 12x are 3 times 2 times 2 times x. Okay? Now, let's go to 3x squared plus 6x. Now, looking at this expression, we know that we can factor it by common monomial factor. And the common monomial factor of 3x squared and 6x is 3x, right? So we will write 3x here. And then the other factor, okay, 3x squared divided by 3x, that is x, okay? And 6x divided by 3x, that is 2. So plus, so we have here plus 2. Right? Now, okay. Let's look at our factors. Now we have here an expression that can still be factored, and that is 3x. So let's factor out 3x here in the denominator. So let's write again x plus 2 times x minus 2 times 3 times 2 times 2 times x over 2 times 2, okay, times 3 times x. Factors of 3x, we have 3 times x, okay, times x plus 2. Alright, now that we are already done with our prime factors, then we can divide out common factors. So we will start with x plus 2 and x plus 2. Next, we have a pair of 3, a pair of 2, another pair of 2, and a pair of x. Okay, so there are no common factors anymore. So let's continue. So here, okay, in our numerator, what is left is x minus 2. In the denominator, all of the factors are already divided out, so that would be equal to 1. So our final answer is x minus 2. Box your final answer for emphasis. So the product of x squared minus 4 over 4 and 12x over 3x squared plus 6x is x minus 2. Okay. Now next, let's have the last example, x squared minus 9 over 3x times x over x squared plus 9x plus 18. Okay, now here, okay, as instead of multiplying right away x squared minus 9 by x, okay, examine first your rational expressions. Okay, is there a numerator or denominator that is factorable? So let's try to see. Here we have x squared minus 9. Now, we know that x squared minus 9 is a difference of 2 squares again. So, the factors of x squared minus 9 would be x plus 3 and x minus 3. Okay, so over, okay, factors of 3x, we have 3 times x. Now, in our second rational expression, we have, okay, x here, so that x is prime, so just write x there, numerator. And the denominator, we have x squared plus 9x plus 18. Now, we notice that x squared plus 9x plus 18 is a quadratic trinomial, right? But this is not a perfect square trinomial because 18 is not a perfect square. Therefore, this is a quadratic trinomial where a is equal to 1, right? Now, how to factor quadratic trinomials where a is equal to 1? Okay, let's have it here. Okay, for review. So we have here x squared plus 9x plus 18. Okay, so factoring this quadratic trinomial where a is equal to 1, take the value of your c, which is 18. Okay, so find the factors of 18. So factors of 18, we have here 18 can be equal to 9 times 2 and 6 times 3, right? Now, let's find the factors of 18 that when we add will give us positive 9. So that would definitely be 6 and 3. So writing the factors, we will write it as x here. Square root of x squared is x, that's why we have x there. And since we are looking for the factors of 18 that when we add will give us positive 9, so our factors will be all positive. So you have x plus 6 and x plus 3. So that's already the factors. Those are already the factors of x squared plus 9x plus 18. So let's write these factors in our solution here. So you have x plus 6 times x plus 3. Okay, let's erase this part. Okay. Now, since we have already done with listing all the prime factors, let's proceed now to, okay, dividing out common factors. So we have here x plus 3 and x plus 3. We have x and x. Okay, so there's no common factor anymore, so let's continue. We have here on our numerator, we are left with x minus 3. And in our denominator, we have 3 times x plus 6. Okay, now distribute 3 in your denominator, so you have x minus 3 over 3x plus 18. And that's already our final answer. Alright, so that's all. Thank you. See you in our next videos.